The Chargers are in big trouble. Brandon Staley has made a massive mistake, and Sean Payton should be on Zillow looking at houses for sale in LA right now. So Brandon Staley decided to play his starters in a meaningless Week 18 game versus the Denver Broncos. Win or lose, the Chargers' playoff seed was locked. You would think Staley would rest his starters in a meaningless game right before the playoffs, especially because the Chargers have dealt with injury after injury this year. Some season-ending, some not. But key players like Herbert, Allen, Bosa, Derwin James, Mike Williams have all been hurt at some point this year. But nope, he played his starters and Mike Williams ends up with a fractured back. News just came out today that not only is Williams out for this week, the injury is expected to sideline him for 2 to 3 weeks. This is a huge loss for the Chargers that really gives the Jaguars a new edge. Before Mike Williams was ruled out, I thought the Chargers had an edge over the Jaguars because the Jaguars have just an average secondary that was going to have to go up against a great wide receiver duo of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Tyson Campbell is the best Jaguars corner. I figured he would shadow one of those guys for most of the game, then the other would probably be able to rack up a ton of yards. But now it's just going to be Keenan Allen out there, and I feel like they're going to have Campbell on him for a majority of the game. Allen takes about half his snaps in the slot, but Campbell struggled as a nickel corner during his rookie season last year, so I could see the Jaguars' true slot corner Darius Williams covering him in those instances. Chargers wide receiver Josh Palmer is going to have to step up big time in this game. He's going to become Herbert's number 2 guy. Also, I think we're going to see Eckler as more of a pass catcher in this game, more than a running back that's pounding the rock. Justin Herbert's greatest trait is his arm strength. He's got a rocket arm. Mike Williams is the true deep threat wide receiver on this team. Now that he can't play, they're not going to be able to maximize Herbert's greatest strength. Allen is a great route runner and can make some big plays, but he's not that true deep threat that Mike Williams is. Without having to worry about a guy who can just take the top off a defense, I can see the Jaguars feeling more comfortable bringing more guys down to the line and blitzing Herbert. I understand if you're the type of coach that believes more reps are better, but that hasn't been Staley's philosophy. He didn't play his starters in any preseason game this year, so his team was going into the regular season with no live game action, which is fine if you believe the healthier they are, the better. But then why are you playing your starters in a meaningless Week 18 game before the playoffs when they have all the wear and tear of 17 NFL games on their body? It just doesn't add up. Staley's time as Chargers head coach has been one questionable decision after another. Before this, they were mostly questionable calls on the field, like going for it on 4th down deep in your own territory. But this might be the decision that cost him his job. Even if the Chargers do get past the wildcard round, I could still see them moving on from Staley. Brian Daboll also interviewed for the Chargers head coaching position, but LA went with Staley instead as their head coach. Brian Daboll rested the Giants starters in their meaningless Week 18 game, and the Giants have not one player on their injury report. No one is questionable, no one is ruled out, no one is limited in practice. Everyone is a full go. They have a healthy roster. Also, can you imagine Daboll coaching Herbert? Oh my gosh. I think Herbert would have won an MVP at this point if they hired Daboll instead of Staley. Personally, if I'm the Chargers, I'm doing everything I can to bring Sean Payton in as head coach. You can't mess around with Justin Herbert in his prime years. This is a guy who can win a Super Bowl, can be an MVP. You need a coach with experience, a coach who's been there to do that. So they really got to be all in on bringing Sean Payton to LA and making sure he doesn't go to the Cardinals.